where it would engage with other actors, other players within the philanthropy ecosystem. First, to look at how we can more effectively center philanthropy in our developmental activities. Secondly, serve as a space for brokering relationships within civil society, but between civil society and other actors, in order that we can better utilize philanthropy as a tool for development. And so, which is why we have the annual philanthropy conference, centering philanthropy, seeing how we can build on what is going on to ensure that we more effectively utilize uh, philanthropy as a tool for sustainable national development.
So, Mr. Mood, what caught the attention of Star Ghana Foundation to bring Millennium Development Authority into the space of the philanthropy journey?
Well, I mean, everybody must have heard by now that the president had invited MIDA to run the role of being the single point of contact for philanthropy for the government. So it's a new role. The government normally deals with grants from bilaterals. The government normally deals with other facilities from organizations. But philanthropy normally deals with the private sector. So the government wants a single point entity of government working with the private sector to see how we can attract large funds from large philanthropies to carry out national programs in the country. And I think that was the reason why STAR found us to be important that we come and have a talk in here and be part of the whole organization. The idea here is, one, for the CSOs to know what the president meant when he said he wanted a single point of contact, handling the philanthropy thing, to disabuse any misunderstanding that government was taking the philanthropy money from them and using it on their own, on government's own for government's purpose, and also to work with the CSOs and the NGOs to see how we can scale what they are doing. Because a lot of philanthropy is being done in the country, but they're being done in clusters. It's very fragmented. The idea is, how do we work together? And we thought that working with Star Ghana Foundation, who are in the forefront of this philanthropy, who have the right Rolodex and associations with other CSOs doing similar things, to come together, to work together with them, and work together with the whole community to be able to realize the president's dream. And the president's dream is quite simple. He wants philanthropy money to be focused on national priorities. We're not saying that what they're doing right now is not national priorities, but it's in an unstructured form. And the government wants to be involved in it. The government wants to make sure that they have all the institutions of government working with them to make sure it happens. We will do what government does best, and we'll leave the CSOs to do what they do best. But we need a framework of how we're going to work together. We need a system of how we're going to put this together. We need to work with them to see how we can approach the larger philanthropists who would like to do things from a national scale and national perspective, rather than just do the community ones that we are currently seeing. So how do we bring all these CSOs together, syndicate them to do something larger on a national effort?
Very good. If I go back to Tanko, so practically, what would be the role of Millennium Development Authority in this whole thing?
Well, Millennium Development Authority has always been the government's implementer of projects. So take this as a government project. That's right. Government wants this to happen. Millennium Development, make it happen. So we have to work with the private sector like we've always worked with the private sector, and also with the government institutions to make this happen. The good news is that we don't operate in silos. We operate across sectors. Okay, so we don't do only education, or we don't do only, agriculture. We don't do only health. We work across the sectors, and you can tell from the constitution of our board of directors. We have the Minister of Finance, we have the Attorney General, we have Trade and Industry, we have also local government, and we have gender on our boards. And there will be more added when a project covers their ministry. And the idea is to get senior leadership buy-in into what the president wants to be done. This can be done at cabinet, but we have a mini cabinet in Thank you.
Yes.
The Deputy Chief of Staff of Office of the President, Honorable Nana Oye Bambo Ado, made very pronounced proposal yesterday that there is urgent need to draft a bill towards national philanthropy.
Now we need to focus on a legal framework for resource mobilization and philanthropy. I'm hoping this conference speaks to that. We will be happy to initiate the process, have a team to work on that so that we can create that legal framework and then harness the resources. And like I said, we can look at several global models. And I'm hoping Alhaji, who is the authority in Ghana and one of the leading authorities in Africa on this, to help with this process. And I will personally commit to being part of a team to develop a bill that we can work on and submit. Yes, and also rope in the Attorney General. Because if we're talking about reimagining sovereignty, this is the way to go to harness the resources from philanthropists in Ghana and beyond Ghana so that we use this resource for inclusive and accelerated development. Resources for work, especially civil society work, and for philanthropy-oriented work has drastically reduced.
That's right.
We are heavily dependent on foreign sources for resource mobilization. So, for instance, when Donald Trump became president and then made the announcement and just cut out U.S. aid, it had implications not only for government, especially our health programs, but also for civil society. Because U.S. aid also used to fund some civil society work.
That's right.
And generally, because of other global programs, resource has dwindled. We know even at the United Nations level, they've even had to cut down on resources. So now, this conference, I'm happy, is speaking to looking inward. How do we mobilize resource in Ghana? And in my speech, I said that we are culturally a giving people.
Yes.
It's part of our culture
That's right.
to give, to support, and support the community at large.
Right.
How do we optimize this cultural value of Ghanaians? And I have proposed that government creates a strong ecosystem that will facilitate national and internal mobilization of resources that will help us in developing, that will now fuel the inclusive development that we want. Another point I made too is that the NDC government and the NDC is a social democratic government, and we are people-centered. So this is not too difficult for us. And one key proposal government is making to this conference is for government, civil society, and private sector to come together. Let's come up with a blueprint in terms of either a policy or a law that will now create that guiding framework for philanthropy. You have several people. We have a gentleman who is doing soup kitchens. He's gone. I know he was in Tamale.
RNAQ.
RNAQ. We have Alhaji Seidu Agongo, who is also who recently helped the Children's Emergency in Kolebu Hospital.
That's right.
And I can mention several individuals.
So, Honorable, as we build a synergy between government, civil society and private sector. When these resources are mobilized, how best do you think we can channel these resources appropriately towards collective development of this nation? How can this be done?
This is why we need to sit together, the three stakeholders, to come up with a framework. I will not be able to say, let's do this or that. Let it come from the bottom up. Let us have that conversation across Ghana. We have, the whole of Ghana is here now at this program. So let's speak to it and come up with a blueprint that will work.
On this show, we promote volunteerism, active citizenship, and patriotism. What would be your final words to viewers about how citizenry can take volunteerism, patriotism, and active citizenship serious towards the development of this country?
Well, it is very critical, and that's why even within our national service framework, we have a whole section on volunteers. And I know that even for this year, they are recruiting volunteers to help work in various sectors. So it is very, very important. I have worked with a lot of volunteers, both from outside Ghana and also in Ghana. And I can give an example where we used to go to the prisons. So I supervised law students for us to go to the prisons and then take up cases of prisoners who are awaiting trial, who didn't have legal representation. And that helped a lot too. We got out over maybe 20 prisoners.
What do you have to say about this proposal?
I think this is something that civil society has been working on for quite a long time. Over the past 2 years, Star Ghana has convened countless conversations, and I'm sure other CSOs have also done that, around broadly an enabling environment for philanthropy in Ghana. What do we need to do to make the environment enabling? That would incentivize private sector to give, that would incentivize communities to give, that would ensure that the giving is towards meaningful, work, that the giving contributes to overall national development, and that the giving doesn't result in monies being misused. So even ahead of the 2024 elections, Star Ghana and partners met with the NDC Manifesto Committee. We put proposals across. We met with the MPP Manifesto Committee. We put across. So this is something that we're looking at: philanthropy, the enabling environment, but also an enabling legal framework for civil society in Ghana. And so we completely support that. And we would work with the Office of the President and other relevant agencies to ensure or to contribute towards a realization of this. An enabling environment for philanthropy in Ghana benefits everybody. It benefits governments, it benefits the private sector through tax incentives, but also through good CSR, and it benefits civil society because we then have access to
ordinary citizens.
Exactly, so that's it.
So, Mr. Booth, this show is the Volunteers TV show. We promote volunteerism, active citizenship, and patriotism. From where you sit and with your vast experience in public service, how do you see volunteerism and active citizenship among the citizenry of Ghana today?
We social democrats will call it mobilization. Yes, and it's very critical. I'll give you an example. I think in 1981 or so, the university students, we volunteered. Did we? We volunteered.
I was the regional coordinator for Greater Accra, the Students and Youth Task Force. Yes,
we volunteered, and the universities, we asked the university to shut down for about 6 months, nearly 9 months, where we volunteered to do. Volunteering is very critical in this country. We want to get things done. So, to answer your question, it is the fabric of any nation. If you don't have people volunteering to do things, it will never happen. People from the private sector have to volunteer to help the public sector raise the bar. And that is why some of us, moved from private sector to the public sector, because we needed to raise the bar. Because we worked with the public sector, and we realized that without an efficient public sector, it wouldn't be that. So people will say, I'm still doing national service.
That's a good one. There is a direct example to build synergy, and I think the Deputy Chief of Staff mentioned it. Build a synergy between government, civil society, and the private sector. How can this synergy be built seamlessly so that the developmental agenda of the nation can be achieved? How can we do this?
Thank you. That's a big one, but I think, in most situations, we talk about the need for partnerships, the need for increased engagement, the need for collaboration. But if we don't take time, they become what maybe I might describe as very fluffy talk shops, very fluffy mechanisms that you don't see what they are leading to. So I would look at purpose-driven or purpose-focused collaborations. What is the need? What kind of partnerships do we need to develop around that? So there may be some issues where the collaboration or the partnership should be driven by governments and others are brought in. There may be some other areas or issues where the private sector takes the lead and brings others in. And there may be some areas to where civil society takes the lead. And then the fundamental thing is that we need all those actors at the table. But the specifics of that collaboration, the partnership, should be based on the context of the issue. So we are talking about maybe education, improving education outcomes. And we obviously would see that this should be something that should be driven by government. Government is at the center of the collaboration, but brings on board everybody else.
That's right.
And then maybe we talk about something that may be more accountable, whatever, anti-corruption. And so we're civil society, because we are a step back from active implementation, we maybe take the lead in, this. But I think that, number one, those days where we saw ourselves as pursuing mutually exclusive objectives, those days are gone. And then number two is that let us focus those collaborations so that we get the best out of that.
To add to what Alhaji is saying, I think it's important that it should be very clear. Government cannot do what civil society is doing in terms of the philanthropic work. However, what government wants to do, and it should be very clear what space government is playing here. Government wants to see how we can leverage on what they are doing and scale it up so that you have a national program and get it out, so that it gets the impact. What all these NGOs are doing in philanthropies, if it wasn't for stations like yourself, their work wouldn't be known. You understand? So it's only when something is big news that the little media guys follow. But the big media guys know how this is done. So for us, it's how do we scale it? Using their best practices, using examples of what they've done in communities that have worked. How do they go about it? What we want to do is, use them as the pilots and then scale it up. Working with them to execute it, not us. But what we would do as MEDA is we will implement it with them. We will focus them. We will make sure that we have the right systems, look at their systems, look at what systems will be best to implement this on a national scale. And then we will make sure that we are accountable. MEDA is an accountable entity to the people who give the money, the philanthropists, to ensure that what they want done is done on budget and on a timely basis.
The active citizenship bit of building the Ghana we want cannot be taken out.
No.
What are some of the actions patriotism, volunteerism, and active citizenship, so that we can all build the Ghana we want as citizens of Ghana?
I think first of all, you should look at it as a project. It's not going to happen overnight. Our values have to change. And if our values are going to change, we need to know what the end game is. Normally, if you understand what the end game is and the journey you're going to take to arrive at that end game, you'll be more willing to cooperate to get it done. You'll be more active in participating to get it done. But if you think it's others who are going to do it, and you don't even understand, or you are skeptical about how they will reach there, you don't understand the journey, the end game seems so far away, you don't understand the benefits that are coming to you, nobody is interested in doing it. So we have to handle it like a project. This thing has to be handled like a project. We have to make people aware. We have to make sure that they understand what benefits they are getting from it in the long term. And I really understand this is a long-term journey we are going. And we want people who are committed. And those who are committed, there will be benefits for them in the end.
That's right. That's right.
And if I can,
like any good relationship.
Yes.
That's right.
If I can quickly add to what Alexa said, I think the projectize it, but for me, the fundamentals are one, agreement on the values. Now, if we went out today and asked what are our values at Ghanaians,
that's right. That's right.
You would get as many different
views
as
different subsets.
Exactly. So that whole thing about coalescing all this into a set of values that we all ascribe to. And then that becomes a basis for mobilization. I think the second prerequisite is the trust in leadership.
The trust in leadership.
That's, we are doing this and everybody will benefit. Right now, because of a lot of what we've gone through since independence, you go say, oh, we'll do this, and then the big people will chop it. So we need that sense of listen. And then the third for me is the frameworks, how the points for mobilization. We need to be very intentional. Achampong, for all his force, he came out with a charter, the national charter, the national pledge, and started from the schools. So when I was in secondary school, Monday we recite the national pledge before you went into class. So by the time you got to Form 5, you knew the pledge. I pledge of my honor to be faithful and loyal to Ghana, my mother, and it formed a structure for you around which, And the last point is that people think active citizenship is about politics. Active citizenship, if you see a need, feel it.
That's right.
Feel it with either your skill, feel it with your presence, feel it with your listen, or feel it.
We say, see the need, take the lead.
Yes. So if it is at your local level and children are out of school and you can engage them during the break time, feel it. If it is something else, feel it. If it's at the national level that Galamsey is killing us and you want to feel it. But let's see active citizenship as something that benefits everybody. But the values are important. And just quick example, I said it the last time. The Japanese went to a World Cup tournament. They lost the match, but before they left, the Japanese spectators stayed back and cleaned the place before they left.
That's right. That's right.
We would sit in Trotro and then throw the water.